Now that you know a little bit more about Premiere, let's talk about your first project. So, hopefully, you've had a chance to read the assignment sheet. If you haven't, stop watching, go read that right now so you have a better idea of what's going on and start downloading the footage. So, what the first assignment is, sometimes I call it beer, bottles, New Belgium, kind of whatever comes to mind. I'm talking about the same thing. It's called the New Belgium one in Canvas. What you're doing is you're editing together a 45-second video. Things to note about this project: there's a very obvious order to things. What I always say is if students are brand new to video editing, go ahead and just show me the process. Show me how the bottles are made in order. But if you've been editing for a while, challenge yourself and tell me a cool story. Turn it into something interesting, personify the bottles, tell me a story, whatever you want. Things to note about this. Like I said, very apparent order, very easy to have continuity errors. So continuity errors, one of them can happen is when you're jumping around in time. So in one shot, if you had empty bottles, then they had caps on them, and then you went back to having empty bottles, that wouldn't make sense. It's continuity error, time is jumping around. So even if you're brand new to this or you're telling your own crazy story, there should be a very apparent order for the shots. And I don't know how to make beer. I've just seen these videos, so think logically about it. Look at the shots, try to see like, okay, I'm showing them putting on labels here. Are there any shots behind it that have labels already, or are there any shots after this where they don't have labels? Because that would be a continuity error. Look for those. Shot pacing. So there's a minimum shot count. Yes, I will count. Make sure you have that, and that should keep your pacing on track. But on average, shots range from 2 to 5 seconds. Not a hard rule, but a general rule of thumb for video production. So close-ups, when the camera's close to the subject, it takes a lot less time to process the whole shot, right? So those should be up for a shorter amount of time, so around 2 seconds, right? And maybe wide shots or your establishing shot could be up for a bit longer. You can have shorter shots, but if it's longer than 5 seconds, that shot better be awesome, because 5 seconds is an eternity in video time. Next week, we're gonna go over editing audio and putting songs in your files and that type of thing. But in the meantime, go ahead, look for a song, legal sources only. If you don't want to use the sources I've provided, as long as you're legally acquiring it, or if you're paying for a service already, that's fine. If you don't even know what I'm talking about right now, go ahead, use Free Music Archive or YouTube Audio Library to pick out a song. Pick out something that matches the footage in your opinion. If it's a happy kind of vibe, don't pick out a sad funeral song unless it's part of your story, okay? I challenge you, like I said, if you've done this before, tell me a cool story, have fun, think logically, think about the videos you consume, make sure there's a logical beginning, middle, and end, and read the assignment sheet. The first thing you always want to do when starting any editing project, obviously once you've got it into Premiere, downloaded it, organized your files, and imported, is actually watch through the footage. That's what's going to tell you what the story is, and you should at least have a good idea of what every single clip is. Fortunately, these are actually labeled for you, so a lot of the work is done or logged, as we've learned what that is. But don't be afraid to rename them. Sometimes I will have like rename them as like good or something like that. And then let's say I rename my good shots or put the word good in there. I can just type it into my search bar later and find them. So go through your clips, and that should give you a pretty good idea, and then move them onto the timeline like we did before. If you're new to editing, don't be intimidated, just follow the instructions. That is my biggest advice. Follow them and read the rubric. This is a checklist. Use it as such. This is what I'm going to be doing with your project. I'm going through this rubric. This is how I'm grading it. So make sure you meet all this criteria If you don't understand it, pop me an email, ask me, but then you're destined to do well. So you're not going to know what all of this is yet. What we're going to go over next week, we're going to go over importing audio, we're going to go over editing audio levels, adding fades in and out, and exporting. So what I want you to do between now and next week is get your story, get all the clips on the timeline in order with good pacing, with natural sound left on there as is. You can edit on mute, just mute your computer while you're working if you can't bear the whirring sounds. That's what I want you to have on the timeline. Okay, good luck, and most of all, have fun.